Hey guys, these longer days are getting really nice. And get out a couple hours here, and I figured it's time to start on this smoking a couple of hides. So we're gonna go back here and look for some punk wood. And really, there's no special punk wood. Here's a little bit right here. This, all you're after is rotten wood. This is really wet, and it's really important when I'm really fussy about this too. If you're gonna smoke hides, you really want your punk wood to be dried out. So depending on what I gather, I brought a couple buckets out with me, and I'll fill them up. But then if this stuff's really wet, I'll spread it out on the cement slab and let the sun bake it for a while until it dries out, because wet rotten wood is just going to steam like crazy, and it's going to make your hides all tacky while you're trying to smoke them. It's going to be killing your flame. And when you're smoking hides, it's a delicate balance between keeping the fire alive and keeping it at bay with punky wood, so it doesn't get too hot and start bursting in flames and burn your hide. But you need your you need your coals rather to still be there, not put them out. And wet punky wood just steams the whole thing up and makes a cold, wet smoke as opposed to a dry, smoky smoke. So there's a log over across the creek here I'm after. And generally when I'm looking for punk, I'm just looking for really earthy colors. I don't know if it really matters much. I've done some reading that certain wood types will put a certain color, and I don't really know. I haven't experimented with that enough. I usually just grab a whole bunch of different colors or whatnot, and usually I aim for a pretty dark, rich color anyway. So I just grab whatever's rotten, whatever's available, whatever's dry. And if it's not dry, I'll dry it out. But there's a really earthy, dark piece of, I think it's willow across the creek over there. I'm gonna grab that. It's a really rich color, and I don't know if it really matters, but I usually stick with the earthy colors, and I'll mix in if I need more. But you guys see that? Like I said, I don't think it really makes a huge difference, the color of your rotten wood. I've always just stuck with these really rich colors, and I've always got pretty dark buckskin. And I use light colors sometimes too, and I mix them all, so it gives a pretty deep, rich color in my skins, and I like that. So, like I said, it's not really a big deal, but this is really wet. It's technically spring now, but I mean, this stuff is just soaked from the winter. So I'm gonna gather all this up, put it in my bucket, and you want to make sure you get enough. You don't want to start smoking and run out of punk, so bring extra buckets and get plenty of punk wood, because you want to have everything set up so once you get your hides smoking, you're not running around and taking your eye off it. Smoking hides is probably my favorite part of the whole process, because you can finally sit back and relax, and it's not so much physical anymore, but it's a lot of setup. So you just want to take your time, set everything up right, have all the materials there, because once you get your thing smoking and your hide on it, you want to be there to watch it the whole time. And I just kind of break this up a little bit and stuff. And really, there's nothing to this, but like I said, I've heard birches and stuff put darker, redder look in your skins. I've heard oak does a darker brown. I've heard a lot of things, but I usually just mix a whole bunch of different color punk and just go from there. And really, I don't think it matters. I am fussy about the moisture in my rotten wood, though. I don't like it wet at all. And I'm just gonna sit here and gather up these 2 buckets, and then I'll be out of here. Alright guys, this is what that punk looks like all dried out. This is some stuff I had left over from last time I smoked hides. And here's some much lighter wood, and kind of what I'm hitting at is, if you want a really light color in your skins, maybe aim for the lighter punky woods and don't smoke as long. I just haven't done enough experimenting with specific woods to tell you when will do a certain thing. I usually like a really dark, rich color, so I go for dark, rich woods and smoke them a little bit longer, I guess, than some people. And these are both willow, actually, I think. But for this has probably been down a lot longer, and just some woods look really dark after they've been down a long time. I don't have any specifics, but all I'm after is rotten wood. Alright guys, we're getting pretty set up here. I got a fire going in my little... What this is, you're going to see my hillbilly setup here. This is what I'm using right now at the moment. Shop vac bowl and chimney pipe. Combine the two and you get a pretty efficient stove right there. Even equipped with a draft control, aka hose hole. And see, this is putting out some smoke now. I'm just trying to get a bed of coals in there right now. You can either start a fire, shovel your coals in there, or start a fire in your can or whatever you're going to use, bucket. You can do this as simply as digging a hole in the ground. Digging a deep hole, filling it with coals. And as you can see, I got my hide set up. This is probably the most common way of doing it. It's folded along its backbone. I glued a skirt on there. This helps protect your hide. This skirt is going to go over the top of that chimney. And that way your hide's never in contact with anything hot. And typically I put the neck side down. It funnels. It's usually narrower, so it funnels up. And you make a pillowcase out of this. This is if you're doing one hide. If you're doing two hides, I usually sew or glue the two together along their perimeter. And all I did here, I glued this hide. You can use I used hot glue. I wouldn't really recommend it, a heat activated glue, but I've done this enough where I can get away with it. And usually the hot glue holds up long enough for me to smoke one hide before it all starts to go mush. You can use hide glue. I've used hide glue. You can use Elmer's glue. You could staple the hide up around the side. You could sew the hide. All depending on the type of job you want it, how you want it to look in the end. I'm really particular about closing up any holes around the whole edge. You'll see I have clothespins and they're going to help me with this. Once I get this thing smoking, if there's a lot of smoke escaping anywhere from any holes, maybe a hole in the hide where I have it stitched, or up top, if there's any holes, I'm going to plug them up with a clothespin. That way it keeps all the smoke inside the hide, and you're going to see once I get the smoke, and I'll talk a little bit more. But this is just the basic setup. I'm almost ready here. Once I get a good bed of coals in there, I'm going to start putting the skirt over this. I'm going to start smoking, and we'll get back to you. Alright guys, we're going to start smoking this. I got the chimney pipe on there. I got a good bed of coals in there. And hopefully the camera will pick this up. I'm just going to start throwing some punk in there to kind of cool the fire a little bit. And get the smoke started. And you should start to see some good bit of smoke. You don't want a trickle. You want a lot of smoke. A little trickle is going to take forever to smoke your hide if it does smoke it. So you want this thing to billow out the smoke. I just slipped my skirt over there. Put this over a little bit more. Alright, now let me get a clothespin to close that off. Now, this thing's starting to smoke a little bit. It's really important that you're always taking the skirt off and putting your hand there. You always got to check for hot spots. If that fire flares up, it could burn your hide. Now, this hide, I don't know how well this is going to see it. This hide is billowing out. It was flat. Now the smoke's going and pushing it out, and that's really important. If you have just a trickle, it won't do that. Now what this is going to do is it's going to force, that smoke's going to go up there and push this hide out, billow it out. It's going to have nowhere to go but be drawn right through the hide, just be sucked right through it. And that's really important. That's what you want. I'm going to go around, I'm going to pull out any creases, anywhere where there's a lot of smoke escaping. Like I said, I'll probably plug it up. So this is pretty evenly smoking all around. You want smoke to get to every area of the hide. So if there's a pocket where it's kind of goofy, try to pull that out. And I'm always checking this. This is probably too hot right now already. So I have to take the skirt off, throw some more punk wood in there. You gotta keep the fire at bay while keeping it alive and creating a good volume of smoke. So what's going to happen early on is around the edge here, where it's usually the fluffiest, the airiest part of the hide, you'll start to see some colors bleed through. That's when you know this hide's starting to pick up smoke. And usually I'll smoke it till I see the color all the way around the edge, and then I'll probably start keeping an eye on peeking in there and seeing what color my hide's turning. But that's kind of a subtle hint that the hide's starting to change color. And I want to get all these pockets out of here. But as I do this, I'll try to keep the camera on it, show you what I'm doing. But that's really important. This is why, you know, you put a hide in, you know, indirect smoke or in a smokehouse or something. You know, you might be at it all week before this thing starts to pick up some color, and it'll probably never, the smoke will probably never penetrate the full hide. If you put this in a smokehouse, the smoke is just going to fill up all around it. It's going to have no way of penetrating the hide. By funneling it like this in a pillowcase, the smoke goes in there, billows out the hide, and is drawn right through the thing. And that's the difference. You want this thing to become totally permeated with smoke, and that's gonna waterproof this whole thing. Alrighty. Alright, you see this? You can see where I did my really bad stitching job here, and I can see quite a bit of smoke pouring out of here. See, what happens if you have a hole in the hide and you have a lot of smoke? There's going to be a draft. The smoke is going to be naturally drawn to where there's a hole. And what that's going to do is, around that hole, it's going to be extra dark, sometimes black, and sometimes in an extreme case you can get streaks leading up to that hole. So it could have a wavy, off-color look to your hide. It could be off-coloration. You have dark spots, some brown spots. It just wouldn't look very nice. So anywhere where there's holes, I kind of plug them up so the whole hide evenly, the smoke is drawn through it, and not just in one spot or where there's smoke escaping. So I'm going to plug that. About time to check to see what this fire is doing. You see all that smoke? It's exactly what you want. You want a lot of smoke, but you don't want this thing to burst into flames and burn your hide. So I'm starting to hear some crackling and stuff, so that fire's probably starting to kick up again. Just going to throw some more punk in there. And I'm mixing the punks. You know, I'm just shooting for a rich depth of color in my hide, so whatever I got, throw it all in there. Get this thing nice and smoky. And then put your skirt back on. Alright, how long you need to smoke your hide is all going to depend on the volume of smoke you're putting out. You know, if you have a little trickle, it's going to take forever. You want a lot of smoke, and how dark you want it to be. That's all going to determine how long you have to smoke your hide. I don't know how well the camera's picking this up. It pretty much evenly, all around the perimeter, you see a little smoke. And if you look closely, you'll see smoke coming out through the hide too. So that's telling me that this hide is really getting exposed to smoke all throughout, and it's being drawn right through. So that's real important. But I can't tell you how long it's going to take. It's all going to depend on how dark you want it to look, or how you want it to look, and how much smoke you're putting out. I don't know if you can see this. Here's the hide's pretty white, and right here you can see color starting to bleed through. This is where the hide's really fluffy and really airy. But that's starting to tell me that this hide is picking up smoke. Those are the areas you'll see it first, but once I see that all around, pretty much I'll peek in there and see what color my hide's turning. Can you see some of that color starting to bleed through there? This side's probably pretty smoked on that inside. But I like a nice dark color, so I'll just let it go for a while. It's smoking pretty good right now. Alright, so the trick to smoking is evenly coloring your hide. You can see down here around the neck where it was most exposed to the smoke, it's a little darker, and as you go inside, it has lighter color. That's not really a bad thing, but you just want to make sure as you go up in there, there's not still white spots or spots that didn't take the smoke. And the best way to prevent that is to get a really good volume of smoke the whole time you're smoking. But I'm gonna fold this back and see what color I'm dealing with, and if it's even enough, I'll probably stick with that, because that's not too bad. It's kind of a golden brown as I get down inside there. Alright guys, you get an idea of the color there. this is the side you're going to see, so that's the side that I'm fussiest about. It's a little off. You could see like spots that weren't exposed as much smoke are a little lighter. It varies a little bit, but it's not too bad. It's a nice color. It's like a golden brown. Over here you can see it too, and down here is where it was exposed to the most smoke because it was closest to the flame. It gets a little darker, and that's pretty normal. But you just want to get it as even as you can, or as you want it. And I'm happy with that. I think it looks nice. Now I'm just smoking. Now what I'm doing is I'm smoking the flush side. I just rolled this inside out, and I'm smoking the flush side. And all you have to do really, technically, is to smoke that till it picks up some of that color. Then functionally it's smoked. But I'll just smoke it for a while. I'll try to match it as close as I can to this color on this side, but really that's not super important. Just give me an idea how that came out. Alright, finished hide. That's the grain side. Flush side. And thanks everyone for watching. I had a lot of fun with this series. I have a lot of fun tanning hides. I mean, I spent a long time wanting to know how to do it, and now that I can, it means that much more. And thankful for everyone that's watched, and I hope to hear some stories of folks tried to do it themselves, and hope to hear how you make out. Alright, I'll see you.